Hey guys, welcome to the Money Mix podcast. Again, you're with Al and Stan. So the first topic is that Meta Quest 3 is coming out in the fall, and they just announced it. So this is the big push from Meta, Facebook, whatever you want to call them, for their big push into the metaverse. And this is their next item that they're hoping people will, glob onto because it is a good product. Now they're somehow trying to get people into the metaverse.
Okay,
Do
so
you do you
how,
think do you think that the Meta Quest 3 is going to inch their way closer to it, or do you think that this is just another product from them and isn't really going to make a difference in the whole metaverse movement game?
before I answer that question, what I'm trying to figure out is how are they going to connect, this device to the metaverse? I mean, they don't have a metaverse, right?
Well, metaverse is so how can I say this? It's kind of like made up thing that they just basically want you to be there and use the
The headset.
yeah, the headset and basically communicate with it, do meetings with it, and all that kind of stuff.
All right.
um if there's like there isn't technically a metaverse out there just yet,
I
but they also are trying to just basically have people use the device as much as possible, and then I guess want to be in in the virtual world as much as possible.
Right,
That's
but there are cryptocurrencies like Sand and Decentraland that already have a metaverse. So I'm just curious if you're going to be able to use this type of headset on their versions or not. So
that I'm not entirely sure specifically for those, but it definitely like because Meta doesn't have their own just yet. They have small play boxes, like virtual play boxes where you could play and you could talk to other people and all that kind of stuff. But it's not like the virtual world that they're talking about where you're going to be like basically living in it type of thing. And that isn't there just yet. That
I
isn't like that's kind of like their thing that they're trying to achieve. Now
right.
the question is, do you think this device is the step in the right direction? Do you think it's actually going to be big for them, or do you think this is just like another product that they're
Yeah.
releasing and isn't really going to make much of a difference, at least in the metaverse direction?
Well, I mean, metaverse is very young at this point, and not too much to do in it yet. I mean, like I said, the Sandbox and Decentraland already have a metaverse, and if you can connect this particular device into that type of virtual world, then that might be very interesting. But at the moment, I almost feel like it's like 50-50 whether this is going to do well for Meta or not. Yeah, if it's cool and it has a lot of features that you can use it in, like watch a basketball game or watch movies or interact with coworkers in a particular way, then I think it's going to do very well for Meta. But as of right now, where metaverse hasn't been outlined yet, I think it's like a 50-50 chance whether it's going to do well or not. That's just my
Yeah,
perspective.
I'm definitely not as uh, kind of on it. I actually like I love technology, but I do not believe that we're anywhere near the metaverse idea. I don't think we're anywhere like I think this product won't have any effect in the whole metaverse direction. Uh, I think this is going to be a product where people are going to use it for the same thing they've been using it for, which is playing games, chatting with people, uh, and just watching maybe movies or something like that. I do not believe this is like a
Mm,
thing where people are like, no, I could be in the world for, I could rent a place or something. No, I
right.
don't believe anything like that.
Yeah.
I think really where this technology is right now, it's nowhere near what people are talking about it. Whether you're talking about the cryptocurrency stuff or not, I don't believe it's anywhere near where people actually want to spend their days in it. And especially just the devices aren't there yet. You want to be able to feel things. You want to be able to move around, and that's not there yet. Where I think, and this is again, Meta did talk about this, or at least Zuckerberg himself talked about that, where they're working on is the augmented reality stuff, like the
So
reality.
this
Yeah, go
so
ahead.
this might be used for augmented reality.
This will be a little bit used for augmented reality, but what he wants to do is he wants to create what seems like regular glasses. And by the way, he's not the only one. I think Apple supposedly is working on that. Microsoft is working on that. But basically, it's regular looking glasses. But when you look through them, they just tell you things about
Sort of.
anything in front of you. Yeah, it tells you about a person's height just by looking at them. It tells you, it'll help you if you want to change your oil. It'll literally show you in front of you. You pour here, you pour three.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That
So
that is
that
ridiculous.
that to me is where like this kind of stuff should be going to, not like VR. I do not believe we're anywhere near there. Eventually, I think we'll get there. Eventually, where
Yeah.
it's going to be kind of like a Matrix style thing where you could actually go into the world and feel everything and touch everything. But the way it is right now, I I have an older Quest. I think mine is like the second one, I think, or maybe even the first one. I'm not entirely sure. And it's fun to use. It's genuinely a good device. There's no problems with it whatsoever. The only thing is, it's like I'm not gonna use it more than an hour and a half at most,
So
and then I'm gonna put it down.
how often do you use it right now?
Maybe once every week, maybe once every other week.
And what do you do on it?
I really like the boxing. The
Oh,
boxing game is really fun. It's a really good workout, and you don't feel like it's a workout. Watching stuff on it is actually really cool. Like if you want to watch a 3D movie, there's never been anything that has been made better than watching
so
a 3D movie in a virtual reality
how
space.
do you connect it to like watching the movie? How's that work?
Oh, there's like virtual movie theaters, and you could a bunch of them are free,
Oh,
but you could pay for, so if there's like a movie that's just released, you could literally watch it. You could watch
so
any movie.
so what you're saying is with that device, you actually have an internet connection, and then you can
Yeah.
download that particular app for movies, and you can watch a movie on there.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And the cool thing
Wow.
is, like wherever you're sitting, you could create a virtual reality thing around you. So you could be like, supposedly you're by a bunch of a fire, in a sense, could be your background. It could be you're in a beautiful living room, and then you have like a huge, 1,000-inch screen TV in front of you and just watching it. It's yeah, it's a it's genuinely a really cool experience. But because of the way the headsets are, the fact that they weigh something, the fact that it is something that you're putting on, it isn't as immersive as it probably will be eventually.
Right.
Um, these devices, like the Meta Quest 3, seems like it's going to be more powerful. It's going to be lighter. They are going in the right direction, but I feel like we're probably maybe 10 iterations before it's going to be this fantastic, realistic thing that you're like, all my time I want to spend in that kind of place, and I want to live in this world, and I want to buy places and all that kind of stuff, uh, which is what Meta, what Zuckerberg wants is for us to start buying things in this virtual world, buy these virtual places, these virtual islands and stuff like that.
Right.
I
Because
while I think there's people that are going to spend money, I don't think it's the thing. But
because
anyway, go ahead.
because in the real world you can't afford to buy any of that stuff, so you're gonna go to the metaverse to buy all these fantasy items. But the problem is, yeah, it's gonna start out cheap, and then once things start picking up, then the more pricey they're gonna become, and pretty much things are gonna be the same as they are right now. You're not gonna be able to afford that stuff. So I mean that part of it is going to be interesting. But no, I mean this device seems very interesting, and they're upgrading it. It's going to be the better version of the prior one. So you never know what it can actually do. So potentially, as of right now, we're not sure because it still hasn't come out yet what it's going to be able to do for the user. There might be something that they already have in their mind that they're going to release, and once they release that, it will work with the headset. So it could be a huge feature
I mean
for
that
so
I understand what you're saying, but that sounds wishful, like wishful thinking to me. It's kind of like, there might be something really cool out there that they haven't announced, and it's like, yeah, we could say that this year, we could say that next year, we could say that every single year until something actually comes out. But
yeah.
there isn't right now. There isn't anything. It seems like the device is going to be much better than the previous one in terms of graphics. It's going to be lighter. It really is going to be a better device, but it's not going to be something that you're like, oh well, I didn't like it before, like, or excuse me, I didn't want to be in the metaverse before, but now I want to be in the metaverse. I don't think it makes that leap. At least for me, it
Mm.
for sure doesn't. I really don't see that. I do think that this is going to be probably one of the hottest items for Christmas. I do believe people are going to be like, this is coming out in the fall, and I think it's going to do fantastic in terms of sales. But I think it's going to be the same people who are, hey, I want something fun, cool, and basically spend some money to buy something that they're going to enjoy over the
Right.
holidays.
But I
You know,
guess it's going to depend on how much it's going to cost
it's
because
it's it's
uh,
$500, so it's actually 100, depending on which version you were buying. It's like $100 to $200 more than it was before.
right, right. Yet again, I mean, it all depends on how much money people have to spend on these type of items. The economy is not doing so hot right now. Towards the end of the year, we'll have to see, reevaluate how it's doing. So I mean, Meta is in that entertainment spot right now, and people do love to spend money on entertainment, no doubt, even when the economy is not that great. So yeah, it could be something that increases their revenue in the long term. As of right now, like what you said, like metaverse is not a thing, so probably they won't do much for their stock price.
Well,
That's
I don't know. Like in terms of the stock price, it might affect it in a positive way. In terms of, at least my opinion, I I I could see it being affected positively because it's going to be one of the hottest items every single year. Apple products are the hottest items every single, like Christmas holidays type of stuff, and this is, I think, going to join it. I think it's like it's a new product, just came out, and it's most likely going to do really really well for them.
okay.
Um,
I guess
but
we'll have to see. We'll
right,
have to
right.
see.
Right, exactly. Okay. So let's move on to the next topic. This is kind of a two-part topic. We'll start with the first part, and this is about Target. Target is seemingly kind of not in the best of places right now. Similarly to kind of like how Bud Light took what seemingly now is the wrong turn. Um,
And they took a
where
huge hit. So
yes, yeah, yeah, that's what I mean by a wrong turn. I don't mean whether you agree with what they did or you don't agree. It, it it's really hurting them even to this day. With Target, it's the same thing. Target is basically they have just dumped all of their Pride merchandise. They went ahead and basically said, hey, because our the people that are working there are being harassed, so we're removing all like that kind of stuff. So I have my thoughts on it, but I'll let you go first. What do you think of this?
I don't know. It's kind of weird to have a LGBTQ line of clothing, in my opinion, at least in the first place. So like they're trying to like exclude everybody else from it and include themselves into it. I'm not
Can
against.
I before you want,
Yeah.
I just want to mention something about that. I actually just heard somebody talking about this, and they mentioned something. It's like Target is trying to do something that is political. It seems like with this, not that they were trying to do something where they even thought about profits. It's more kind of like a push for a certain like stance in a sense, and and the reason why is like it's because they don't have a Christian section, they don't have a Muslim section, they don't
Right.
have any of these really 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 large groups, but yet the LGBTQ section is there, which is a much smaller group than
Right. Right.
any religious group out there.
Yeah, but it's the most hottest topic right now in a
Right.
sense.
That's what I
LGBT.
mean. That's what I mean by political. That's what I mean. Like this isn't financial, because if financial, you would go for Christianity. You have a Christian section where you sell all that kind of stuff, and I would imagine for
Yeah,
financial reasons that actually might do better for them.
that
But
would be interesting.
this seems like political. It really does.
Yeah, no, you're probably right. Maybe it does. Maybe it is more on the side of the political. I mean, this is an interesting story, and the clothings are, targeted to a specific type of person, and it's definitely drawing some heat from the other people, and they were forced to remove it, as far as I understand. Um, so I don't know where this goes. Honestly, it doesn't look good for Target. From one direction, from the other direction. I mean, almost feel like it doesn't look good on both sides, because they had it, now they removed it. Well, why did you remove it? Because people are not happy with it. But
Right.
the LGBTQ people are like, now they're upset, like you're
Yeah,
removing
yeah.
it.
They're
I don't know.
they're sort of in a similar position as Bud Light, where they're not liked by people who are on the right because of what they did. They're not liked by the people on the left because they feel that they caved. They were trying to play the middle of the road, like, oh no, we're doing it because of the hate. Ah, man, it's so rare that a business does anything for its employees. It has to be like, for them to do anything like this, it has to be like to actually pull products, the employee has to be like, I don't know, almost stabbed for them to go, all right, okay, we need to do something about this. But otherwise, like a big company like this, to remove a whole line of stuff, it can't be because somebody came into a store, goes like, hey, what are you guys doing with this crap? Well, take it off. And it's like, all right, we got so many complaints, which no, I just don't buy that. I think they were just trying to go like, hey, it's out of our hands, we didn't do it, it was because people are being mad, and that's why. And now no one is buying it, not the left, not the right, and it seems like they're screwing themselves up.
Yeah. Very, very strange story. And yeah, I obviously this is gonna hurt them financially. I mean, we're talking about like both sides of the spectrum, right? So we're talking about 100% of the customers, politically driven, that are not going to want to shop at Target because of this issue. Now, what do they? I mean, the question, Al, is what do they do at this point? How do they regain their composure here and do something about it?
Oh, that is the, like, honestly, it's the multi-billion-dollar question, because I think that's what Bud Light is trying to figure out. What did they do? Did
Okay,
they
but
did
but
they double down on it? Which double down might hurt even more.
yeah, but Bud Light is like taking focus on one end, and they're trying to repair it with their core customers. But Target is in trouble with both with both clients, right? The customers. So it's
Oh no
like,
no no no
how do
no!
you
Bud
appease?
Light is also in the same position. By the way, Bud Light people on the left got mad at them because they removed the person that wanted to do the LGBTQ thing.
Oh,
So they both have, like, both sides pissed at them. Don't get me wrong.
I
The
got.
right side is more pissed than the left. The left is just like some, like a very small group of people.
I see.
But yeah, but the right is pissed.
Yeah.
And again, I'm for, personally at least, I'm for any company selling whatever product you want. But as soon as you go into uh, a um, a political stance, let's put it this way, like once you go to a political stance, that's when it's you know,
Yeah, it's hard times for you because, you know, people are not going to agree with your political stance, and now essentially, like, people are confused. Are you on the LGBTQ side or are you not? And the other people on the other side, they're like, okay, well, what's going on here as well? It's like, what are you trying to accomplish by doing this in the first place? Are you trying to see if that will work, and we're just going to ignore it? So I don't know. It's a very difficult situation to repair, with their customers, and there are a lot of competitors, right? I mean, you have Walmart and Marshalls and other places that are very similar that will be happy to take Target's business. So I really do think that they put themselves in such a predicament that it's so difficult to get out of. And I'm not sure how do you repair the relationship with both sides. It's crazy.
Yeah, this one is they're sort of in the thing because whatever they do, somebody's going to be mad. Even if they don't do anything, somebody's going to be mad. So it's kind of like they almost have to choose one side over another and just
Or
go screw it.
or whoever had this particular idea, they can put them up on the pedestal and say, oh, look, it was this person who made a mistake. They're fired. We're going to reconvene and we're going to fix this. We're really sorry to everyone. We didn't mean this. All the spiel that the top executives would pretty much put forward, right?
Yeah.
That's pretty much what they're gonna do. Somehow they're gonna try to repair the situation, but I really do think if people are actually really pissed at them, they're gonna go elsewhere. That's what I think. And
Yeah. Again, I'm not exactly sure because usually what companies would do is they would try to just kind of cover it under the rug and like no, whatever, and hopefully it just goes away by itself.
yeah,
I think they might have really hurt themselves
I
here.
I, I think we have a new saying. This is the Bud Light moment. I think that's
Right.
the
I
new
mean,
saying.
probably. I mean, I really do think people are going to remember it. Bud Light doesn't want it to be a saying. Bud Light wants everybody to forget about this and
Yeah.
move on because it just lost its number one standing as a number one beer, Bud Light, and that was,
Right.
that's pretty
Uh,
crazy. But
is it Modelo that took over? That's what I heard.
you might be right. I honestly don't remember. I
But
just know.
do you know who Modelo owns? Like Modelo itself, the brand. I don't think a lot of people drink that. But do they own like a bunch of different sub brands? Is that what it is?
You're asking the wrong person. I don't drink too much beer, so
Well,
can't,
I'm
can't
just
answer.
asking you as a regular drinker.
You think people are like aware of all the companies that own? No, I
No.
I I, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. No.
Yeah, well, that's what I heard that Modelo is the number one right now, and I'm assuming Bud Light is number two. But yeah, I mean, Target is a big name brand in
Mhm.
department stores, and I don't know where they are as far as the top tier,
Mhm.
but it used to be Walmart. I don't know if Walmart is still number one.
I'm pretty sure Walmart is still like an actual a brick and mortar place. I'm pretty sure Walmart is still by far number one.
Yeah,
Target did have a huge jump a few years ago, uh, and it's obviously still doing well. But
yeah.
I checked and Target is down in the last month 15%
Well, I
from
mean, maybe they want to decrease the price so they can buy more stock and then like turn it around. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like never
maybe.
know.
Hello.
That could also be the case, right?
Right. Yeah,
Uh,
exactly.
well,
So okay, so what's the other crazy thing that's happening for Target as well now?
yeah, Target is in deep trouble, and this time it's not really what they did. It's just the debt ceiling, and in the debt ceiling documentations for extending it, the student loan forgiveness program is being excluded. So soon, the people that got forgiven for their student loans are going to start paying back their student loans very soon, which is ridiculous to me that the government said, okay, you're forgiven, and now the government's saying, no, 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 no. You know what? we forgave you, but now you're going to have to forgive us because we're taking it back, right? So this is just such a weird outcome for the people that got their student loans forgiven, and somehow analysts are tying to Target because millennials are the number one clients at Target. That since they're going to start repaying back the loans again, that Target is going to suffer. They're not going to have as much money to spend there. And although that could be true, they were paying the student loans before, and they're going to start paying them again. So, like, what do they say? Like, oh, the government's forgiving our loans. So, hey, let's go have a shopping spree at Target. You know what I mean? That
Uh,
just sounds ridiculous. What do you think, Al?
Yeah, I think that's stretching. Like when people try to make a connection of like, the student loan was being or reduced for most people it was reduced, but for some people it was being going to be paid off. But no one is going like, you know, the reason why I shop at Target is because my student loans are being paid. Like
Right.
no one. That's not a thing. Like if you're having trouble paying your student loan, then you have bigger problems because
Right.
student loans are relatively small as opposed to all your bills. So if you're deciding between
Well, that dep-
Target or Walmart, for example, and you're like, well, I only shop at Target because of my student loans, it's like it just I don't know. To me, it's just such a dumb thing. I don't see the connection there whatsoever.
yeah, it's ridiculous, and I think that the student loans were forgiven if they were under 10,000. So, like, there's a lot of students or ex-students that have debt way
Most.
over 10,000. Yeah,
Most
exactly.
I would think
And
and the thing is, it's not that big of a difference when you remove 10,000 off of a student loan, unless you literally had 10,000. And by the way, I think it goes up to 20,000 dependent on the individual, I think. But if you remove 10,000 from a loan, and let's say you still have to pay off 30,000, which I think most people are around like 20, 30, 40,000, somewhere like there. You remove that, it's like, oh, I get to pay $20 less a month or $30 less a month. It really isn't that big of a difference for most people.
yeah.
And it's just like for anyone to go like, yeah, the most hit hard is going to be Target because now millennials are going to be like, I ain't going there anymore, man. The student loan, I have to pay it again. Uh,
Well,
that's
well,
just
if you combine the two stories, the LGBTQ, issue, then yeah, they might not be going there anyway.
sure, sure.
Right.
That's true. That is true. That is true.
So,
Yeah, yeah.
maybe somehow they're trying to cover it. Maybe the
Right, right.
story
Yeah,
is
it's like,
trying to
oh,
cover
the
the fact
student
that,
loans are
yeah,
made it so people don't shop here anymore. Bring
exactly.
back the student loan coverage. Yeah, it's like, no, get that. No, 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 not at all. This is just like one of those things that you just, like, I almost feel like this is a way to kind of like blame people, like blame a party, because this technically would be like, if you really believe this, then you will blame the right for this, and you go like, oh, it's because the right wanted to not pay for this, so that's why this is actually happening, and that's what's really hurting businesses now. And if it's like that's not really the case. It's just I almost feel like this is somebody just looking to blame somebody else. That's why
Yeah,
because yeah.
yeah. I mean, I think Target needs more of these type of stories, to come out, so the focus is off of the LGBTQ issue,
Yeah, hey, hey,
right?
hey, the new MetaQuest 3 just came out, and all these millennials who usually shop at Target now are in this metaverse thing, and that's why they're not going to Target.
Right.
I feel like it has the same amount of credence. Like that's the only, I mean, that's the only thing I think about that. Yeah,
Exactly. Exactly.
yeah,
All right. So I really do think either way that Target is not looking good, and yeah, I would look elsewhere. Not financial advice, but as of right now, like, I think the stock price is
oh,
actually hit pretty low, and at that point you can reevaluate it. But as of right now, with all these issues that they're having, this could potentially hurt them really, really bad.
Yeah. I said the same thing about Bud Light. I think Target is um, like any company. If you decide that you want to go into politics, you should expect this kind of response. And I'm glad it's actually, at least personally, I'm glad that this is actually happening because I want companies to get out of politics altogether. Stop going like, hey, we're going to show our support for this or show our support for that. The problem is when you once you get into politics, you're alienating half of your like
Customer
customers.
base.
There's absolutely no reason for that because you're looking maybe for a very short-term gain, but in the long run, you're losing half your customers. And the right hasn't for a long time kind of stepped back and they didn't do anything. They are doing something. They're like, okay, you know what? Screw this. If you feel this way about this, we're not going to shop here anymore. And it seems like they're actually showing with their wallets what they're going to do and what they're not going to do. I am for that because hopefully, like businesses will go like, you know what? Maybe we should just sell the products, sell the services, do the business side, and don't get into politics. Let politicians talk about politics. Let the news cover the politics. There's no reason why any business should be talking about politics. At least that's the way I
I
feel.
agree. I absolutely agree with you. And, maybe Bud Light and Target can go into business together and might be able to do well. I
Right,
never.
right. I mean, hey, maybe that's the
I
way.
mean, maybe they should start a restaurant called the Bud Light Target.
Uh, I, I mean, they could make. Yeah, they could do that. Yeah, they could do that. I agree.
All right,
Uh,
let's move on to our last story, and that is with the NBA finals starting tonight, which is June 1st. By the time this comes out, the game would have been all over. But it would be interesting, financial type of discussion, whether the NBA would want for Miami or Denver to win the championship. What do you think, Al?
I think for the NBA, I think their number one thing is okay. So they have America. America is there's two things America loves the most in terms of sports, and that's football and basketball, and then thirdly, because baseball has been dying for a while now, and then it's baseball. But um, what they really want is the international market, and they have expanded pretty drastically. But it's still they have a lot of room to grow. So that's why, to me, it's a very clear answer. If Jokic wins, he's going to be like an actual international MVP player who took his team to the finals. Well, everybody was saying, no, no, he can't do it. He can't do it. And then he did it. This is like everyone in Europe and a bunch of other countries around there who are going to be like, oh my God, look at this. And it's going to bring a lot more eyeballs. It's going to bring a lot more sales. I think it brings the international market. I just think that that's by far what they would like if they could choose. That's who they would want to win, at least in my opinion.
I mean, that really makes a lot of sense. I mean, Dallas also won, and they had Dirk Nowitzki, so I'm not sure if that brought in more people watching or not. Could have.
It did.
What do you think? It did?
It definitely did. It's the same way as when Yao Ming played
Oh,
for the NBA. While
oh,
he didn't even win, that made so many Asian people into like in China especially
in China.
fans of the NBA.
Asian people in China?
Well,
Uh,
okay, I didn't have to say it. Yeah, but the thing is, I actually wanted to say like made fans all around the world, but it wasn't right. So that's why I said Asian. But yes, yeah, I meant to say Chinese people. Yeah.
yeah,
Uh,
we're talking about over a billion people, and they love Yao Ming, and obviously that brought in a lot of people to watch the NBA, and also probably started a lot of leagues in China itself.
mhm.
So that was a huge boost. But I mean, Djokovic is from Serbia. They are already very well known for basketball. They have a small
Yeah.
population. I mean, I don't know how much more it would actually bring to the international spotlight per se, although, it doesn't hurt for Denver to win the championship and get more people to recognize it. I just think the NBA and basketball is so big around the world that I don't think it plays as much of a role as it did before. I'm looking at it from the United States perspective, and I think maybe in my opinion, Miami would be a better champion than Denver for the NBA. I'm just taking the devil's advocate perspective, and that is because Miami just seems like a more fun type of place. You got the beaches, you got the hot weather, you got the pretty women, and all that stuff. I think that might bring that more to the NBA. Just a thought for me, but I don't.
Yeah.
But which team do you think is better?
Well, I mean, for sure believe that Denver is better because they're the number one seed. Miami is number eight seed. So yeah, for
Have
sure.
you,
But
have you watched how Miami played though
yeah,
against?
no, they've been playing fantastic. They genuinely have been
Yeah,
playing fantastic. They just been hustling and hustling, and they've been doing. But I also watched Denver play, and the way that Jokic has been basically averaging a 30-point triple double in the playoffs, shooting at like over 60%. Um, it's it's fantastic. But again, but I just want to get back to really quickly to the point of like I still believe that it's like Jokic, even though he's from Serbia, he's considered European. You know what I mean? That like I promise you, like no one is
yeah,
sitting
he is. I have no argument with that. He is European.
no. But I mean, we we categorize it. But I'm saying you specifically mentioned that well he's from Serbia and Serbia is really small, but yeah, but people look at him as European, meaning they'll
Oh,
look at somebody representing them in the final, somebody representing them as the champion, somebody not only representing them as a champion but literally the best player in the league, like averaging a triple double as a center. It's insane.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
so if you're a fan of the sport in another country, and you're specifically somewhere from Europe, you're most likely looking at this way more than you would be looking at if this was, let's say, if this was the Warriors the uh, versus Miami. You probably wouldn't. You'd be like, oh, it's interesting. Let's see who wins. But now there's actually somebody like representing you. I think that brings way more eyeballs to the
Yeah, you might be
as a
right.
world sport, basically.
Yeah,
Let's put
okay,
it.
okay. So specifically to watching the NBA and not necessarily as a whole, that does make sense. Although I think they probably would still watch it, but yeah, true. It makes it more interesting for the entire world to see, oh, this guy, he's international, he's a center. I think he's probably like as of right now, like one of the best centers since probably Shaq, because he's
Arguably.
yeah, because he's so dominant, and to stop the guy, you literally probably have to hold him. He's so big,
Yeah, yeah.
and he can pretty much do more than Shaq, and that is shoot 3-point shots.
And pass.
Well, I mean, Shaq also passed, but you might be right that he's
Nowhere near. I mean, like you're talking about somebody who's like literally averaging 10 or more assists a game, more than most, pretty much all point guards. So
in that's a pretty good point. Yeah, he's really unstoppable, and he would have to be the one to lead the whole team to victory. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you on that perspective, but as far as like Miami goes, Denver's a cold place and kind of boring. You can smoke weed because it's so boring, right? It's legal there. Miami, I'm not sure if it's legal or not. It should be legal, but you can pretty much, do so much more in Miami. It's just such a more
it's funny.
great.
It almost seems like you're really choosing Miami because you just think it's a way more fun place than Serbia. It's
Well,
like, and I agree with you
well,
there.
Serbia,
It's a
Serbia,
fun place.
Well, actually, you know what? Serbia does like remind me of Denver because obviously in the mile high city, cold. So it's more to like the European part of the world, right? I'm
I
just
know
saying,
nothing about Serbia, to be honest with you, so I can't even say. I have no clue what it looks like.
okay, but what I'm saying is, it's in Europe, it's cold, it snows there. I don't know if you can smoke weed or not. That's not the point. But I'm just saying that, like for the NBA, Miami is just like a cooler place to market basketball there. Right?
It's
But
definitely I think it's a cool place. I just think that there's way more eyeballs to be had if you go outside of the country. And the thing is,
you might be
um,
right.
in all honesty, like I think one of the reasons why NBA is still doing really well is because it has so many international players now, and not just has them, like the MVP players are actually all international. The guy who won this year, Embiid, he's from somewhere in Africa. Um Giannis, he's from Greece. Jokic is from uh,
Wait,
the,
you wait a second. You're saying the last three MVPs in the NBA were all European?
no, not European, but international. They were
No, no, I'm
non
sorry. I'm
America.
sorry. Right. No, okay, my bad. Pretty much, outside of the U.S., right?
Yep.
So the last three MVPs were outside of the U.S.
Yeah. The last I would even say, well, because Jokic won two in a row, so technically the
Right.
last four MVPs.
The four,
Uh,
and
yeah.
oh wow,
Yeah.
that is something unprecedented in the NBA for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So I mean
Wow.
that in and of itself is just bringing more people from all around the world going, look at this, I'm being represented now. So
Well, maybe the NBA is trying to market themselves, to the larger part of the world, and they're trying to get more international players to come to the United States, and by doing so, that will draw in more people watching it, and therefore, obviously, they will make much more money. So financially speaking, that makes much more sense. I would think that they probably would want to establish more satellite NBA type of franchises abroad. I mean, yet again, they can do both. It doesn't necessarily mean that they can't, do this and that, right?
right.
So,
I've never really heard him do anything like that. The closest thing is I know now when they're having a like the preseason, now they're having teams travel to to play games in China, to play games in Mexico, to play
no,
games
it was
all
there.
around the world.
No, no, no. That was around before. I remember even the Clippers, a few years back,
Yeah,
they,
yeah, no.
they
I
did that.
didn't mean I didn't mean like this particular year. I just meant like that's the only thing I know that I'm doing. But like in terms of establishing like an extension league outside of the U.S., I've never heard of that.
Well, that would be actually kind of interesting if the NBA would be able to include teams from around the world and combine it with the NBA so they can play in the regular season and then the playoffs. That would be kind of interesting to see the NBA, go to France or Spain or Russia or Africa or any other city around the world,
Right.
not only in the United States or Canada. Even it would be interesting to have a Mexican club also as well. It would just open up the world and to the NBA. That would be kind of interesting if they would be able to do that. I guess the only problem is, like, for example, if the squads from the NBA or the squads from different countries, they will probably have to travel to the United States and play here for like 2 weeks. You know what I mean? That
Yeah.
I guess, but nowadays they don't have to swim across the river to play NBA games as in the 20s or something like that. Like I think I watched the documentary with Bill Russell, and they said, oh, we didn't like have airplanes and stuff like that. We used to like swim across. I think that was a joke. I mean,
Right.
I don't actually think that would be. Can you imagine like walking miles upon miles, to get to a game, and then like swim across the river and all that stuff? We like, well, how could you even play the game? Maybe the next day. It's just like ridiculous, but
Yeah. It
it's just a fun thing to think about.
Yeah, no. I mean, again, I truly believe that the the money, at least for the NBA, is with Jokic. The fun, maybe, I guess, would be with Miami. I guess I'm not like meaning the celebrations. I think if Miami wins, are definitely going to be more enjoyable to watch and probably cooler if they were Miami. I don't know how much Denver is a city that's going to celebrate it as much, but I don't know. I mean, it might be really big, but who knows?
Well, I mean, they'll smoke it up for sure.
Well, hey, you got to celebrate, and that's probably the place that's kind of known for those kind of celebrations. So you
Right.
got to do what you got to do.
Exactly. Exactly.
All
So,
right, guys. Well, thank you guys for joining us for another one. Please like, subscribe, do all that kind of fun stuff, and we hope to see you next week.